Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I thought I'd jump on. Wanting to do this for the last day or so, come on and do a little bit of a transfer talk roundup. I'm sure I'll be doing plenty more of these shows over the next coming weeks. Loads of rumours coming through about potential players signing for Villa, potential players leaving Aston Villa. So the rumor mill is going to be absolutely flying at the moment, along with many other clubs. So yeah, I thought I'd come on and just talk about a couple of players linked with Aston Villa. One who is on the verge of returning to Aston Villa. Another England international who might be looking to maybe do a swap deal with potential players leaving Aston Villa, centre half potentially leaving, and also some big rumours of potential big players to come in. So before we get into it, though, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts on potential rumours on players incoming at Aston Villa and also the outgoings. We've talked about potential FFP, profit and sustainability rules, and what that means for Aston Villa, and whether we can make these big signings or whether we're going to have to shop a little bit smarter. So we will see what happens. Now, the first player returning potentially to Aston Villa, and this looks to be on the verge of being announced. Whether it's a free transfer, whether it's a cut price deal, we're not quite sure yet. But Ross Barkley had an excellent season at Luton, 30 years of age, playing in central midfield, a little bit of a different role to what he was playing at Aston Villa a few seasons ago when he came in on loan, and has really rediscovered his form and reinvented himself at Luton this season, and been one of the players that has emerged from them with huge credit. Now he's in talks. Emery has had personal talks with him as well, and he looks like he's on the verge of signing. Now, one or two other clubs are interested. I've heard Manchester United's name mentioned, potentially the likes of West Ham, Newcastle interested in him as well. And it's a real return to grace for Ross Barkley, because beforehand many clubs wouldn't touch him, particularly after the Aston Villa situation. He came in and did really well initially, and then sort of really petered out with injuries and loss of form. Had to go out to France last season to reinvent himself and come back, and been given a chance by Rob Edwards, and by all accounts has had a very good season, and was potentially on the verge of potentially an England call up again. Like I say, slightly different role this season with Luton, more of the playmaker, picking up the ball in those areas, slightly deeper areas, and really controlling possession for Luton, and has been someone who they've really needed and really relied on. If you look at his heat map, likes to get about the pitch, can play in any position through that midfield defensively, right in central midfield as a box to box or attacking midfielder. Strengths are high pressing, playmaking, as we know, and those longer passes, and has really controlled possession. Anytime I've seen him live, particularly against some of the top teams, has really shone and played very well. 32 games played, 5 goals for Luton this season in the Premier League, one big chance missed, and has scored with both feet, two with his right foot, two with his left foot, and one headed goal, 4 assists as well, and 6 big chances created. So has obviously got that creative side to him, as well as the passing accuracy and keeping that ball moving. 85% accuracy per game, 89% in his own half, 78% in the opposition half. So in a team like Luton, who were very much up and at them against teams, very much attacking thrust, but also maybe not quite having as much of the ball as some of the top teams, his statistics would suggest that he doesn't waste the ball very often, and is a key component of what they do. Tackles per game 1.5 and 6.3 ball recoveries indicates that he works hard and has worked very hard for the team, and 66% in terms of successful dribbles. Again, decision making is very strong with him, and has been excellent this season, and he's been able to decide whether to play a longer pass, decide whether to play a longer decide whether to dribble with the ball, decide whether to play a shorter pass. So we know he's an intelligent footballer, and that's really come to the fore this season. Now, my reservations slightly are, where would he fit in for Aston Villa? We've talked about squad depth. I did a post on Twitter and got a lot of, probably 90% of people were really positive about this signing. But where would he fit in? Would it be a backup to a Louise, Tielemans, or McGinn? What does it mean for someone like Douglas Luiz with the team, and whether we'd accept some sort of bid for him? He's not going to be that physical presence that many Villa fans think that we need in that midfield. He's not going to be that stopper that many of Villa fans think that we need. He's going to be more about keeping possession, keeping the ball moving, potentially weighing in with the odd goal. Yes, he provides depth, but he would want to play. So where does he really fit into what type of midfielder we need unless we're looking to move people on? So that would be my only reservation. I think good player, yes, we know had a good season. Can he replicate that again to that step up to Aston Villa? Yes, we've got all the things like Champions League football, which are all really attractive to someone like Ross Barkley, of course. But where would he fit in for Aston Villa? You let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, secondly, Conor Gallagher has been linked, and it looks like Chelsea will need to sell one or two of their academy players to balance up the FFP and the profit and sustainability rules. And it's looking like we're discussing numerous options with them about how we can potentially bring someone like Conor Gallagher in. Is that a John Duran, selling a John Duran on the offsetting against Conor Gallagher? Now he is a player who really does divide opinion. Does he have the necessary qualities for international football, i.e., England? He's got England caps, but there's no doubting his his value for club football. That high intensity, that high press, that all action style. He's played very well against Aston Villa. Has driven his team forward and scored very very valuable goals. He's all action. He's tackles all the time. Yes, his passing isn't always as accurate, but we've got one of those players, in John McGinn, whose passing sometimes lets him down, but leads by example on the pitch. He, for me, is a little bit more in as an Emery type player than a Ross Barkley, in my opinion, in terms of that midfield. All action, can get about the pitch really quickly, can drive a team forward, can chip in with goals, can chip in with assists, would be able to come on and change the tempo of a game, or could start and help start fast. So again, let's have a little look at SofaScore with regards to Conor Gallagher's statistics. So yeah, had a very 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 good season. Look at the heat map, all over the pitch, all action, and as we know, his strengths are high pressing. He's got playmaking here on SofaScore. I wouldn't say that was necessarily his strengths. I do think he can chip in with goals, and I do think he's, in terms of tempo, really pushes the team forward. And as I say, he does divide opinion. Sometimes with Chelsea fans, he's not being the most popular because he doesn't necessarily always have that quality. But one thing he will do is he will keep coming back. He will keep demanding the ball. He'll keep asking for it. And that's what a lot of managers like. 37 games played, 37 starts, 5 goals this season. Maybe could have done a little bit more in terms of that. 5 big chances missed. 3 goals from inside the box, 2 from outside the box. Has scored with both feet, predominantly with his right foot. Has 7 assists this season in the Premier League. Not bad at all. 11 big chances created. So look, he should have had more assists, and that down to Nicholas Jackson, missing numerous chances. So again, a player who can get in the box, who can create chances. 92% passing accuracy per game. So look, his passing stats aren't bad at all. 96% in his own half, 85% in the opposition half. 1.2 interceptions, 2.3 tackles per game, and 6 ball recoveries per game. So very, very, very hard-working player, and 68% in terms of successful dribbles, obviously 1 per game. 50% of ground duels won. 51% of ground duels won, apologies. So, look, we know what type of player he is. He's a no-nonsense player. He's a no-frills player. He's not going to get bums off seats in terms of skill, but in terms of will and in terms of, I guess, attitude, is he more suited to what Unai Emery would want? And apparently is a big fan of him, and we know what his opinions are on John Duran. Great talent, but has he got the mentality to succeed under an Unai Emery? So one to watch there, and maybe one or two other players that might suit Chelsea or might link in with Chelsea. Could you see a Douglas Luiz swapping with Conor Gallagher in terms of that? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We've also seen Diego Carlos. He's been a very good player for Aston Villa over the last couple of seasons, particularly this season in certain games, particularly against Manchester City, against Arsenal. But there have been one or two red flags with him in terms of his reading of the game, in terms of letting players get off the shot off his shoulder, in terms of big tackles, which is quite surprising with someone like a Diego Carlos. And apparently, Aston Villa are willing to listen to offers for him. His agent is looking at other Premier League clubs, potentially clubs abroad. And does that open the door for him to go? He's on £100,000 a week, so quite a big earner at the club. Had a bad injury, so would have probably been a real linchpin to our defence, but we had to make other choices. And now, Ezri Konsa has come to the fore, Pau Torres has come to the fore, and we've got Tyrone Mings to come back, and potentially one or two other players, including Ronald Araujo, who is another surprise rumour from Barcelona, and that would be a huge, huge player if we could do something like that. We've emerged as a surprise target for he's emerged, sorry, as a surprise target for us. But Carlos, yeah, I could see that happening. I really could, and maybe we can get some decent money for him. What does that mean for us bringing anybody else in? Well, maybe names like that, but I do think it'll be cut price deals first, free transfers first, then see who we can sell to generate whatever funds we can, and then maybe one or two bigger signings, maybe after the Euros when you can take stock of the market and see what's happening. Another player who's been rumoured is Carlos Soler. This came about last week from Paris Saint-Germain. Spanish player who's very familiar to Monchi and to Unai Emery. Played at Valencia predominantly 182 times, scoring 31 goals. Signed for Paris Saint-Germain in 2022 and has only appeared 50 times and scored 5 goals. Does have 14 caps for Spain and has scored 4 goals. So very, very highly rated player, someone again who might fit the mold in terms of possession, in terms of creativity, in terms of technical ability that Unai Emery would like. Having a look at his statistics, pretty decent in Liga. 24 times played, predominantly down that right hand side, but can also play in central midfield. So maybe fits that box midfield shape that Unai Emery likes. Someone starting in the middle, moving out towards the right hand side. Scored 2 goals this season in League 1, one with the left, one with the right, has 2 assists. So not had a fantastic season, created a couple of big chances as well. So it might be more of someone who wants to rediscover his form and really get back into the groove, because sometimes players can go to Paris Saint-Germain, you can see the technical ability, not too many dribbles, but 56% in terms of successful dribbles, 45% in terms of duels won. So, pretty decent midfielder, 88% passing accuracy, 90% in his own half, 83% in the opposition half. But I would suggest someone who wants to get themselves back on the road to, I guess, being that highly rated player that he probably would have been at Valencia. I must admit, I don't know too much about him, but if Unai Emery likes him and you've seen what he can do with certain players, he fits a mold of like I say, the Spanish technical ability, being able to keep the ball, being able to get the ball into tight areas, allowing us to play through the lines. So that could be an option. And if we could get him for a cheaper price, I think they're talking 20-25 million euros. So that would not be a bad price for a Spanish international, and could be someone who we could go for. And in terms of the sales, Jacob Ramsey's been one who has been told that Villa might need to sell to balance the profit and sustainability rules. But according to various articles, Matt Law and John Percy, it doesn't look like a player that we are going to sell. He's looking forward to playing for Aston Villa in the Champions League. So it could be one or two other players that are offloaded to keep the likes of Ramsey and link in with the likes of Morgan Rogers and one or two of the other younger players. So well, I want to see him stay, because I think the season before last he was absolutely phenomenal, and if he'd have carried on that form this season without the injuries, he would have been a shoe-in, I think, on the plane to go to the Euros, because he's that type of midfielder that England really like. So I want to see Jacob Ramsey next season, and I don't want to see our academy players, being sold just to balance the books. But that's it from me. We'll be back tonight for the fans forum. I'm sure we will talk transfers. I'm sure we will talk England squad, hoping Ezri Konsa and Ollie Watkins get into that initial squad, which would be fantastic. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.